lecture on HTML5 semantic tags. So division prior to the HTML5 standard of the 2010s. So prior to the HTML5 standard of 2014, the division tag was used to lay out websites into headers, main sections, side sections, etc. So we have this illustration of a website here, and we use division tags to sort of lay it out. So we say division, and you might have the header, the main section, and then the footer section here. And the div tag is generally a general purpose tag, and we'll be seeing a lot more of this division tag when we're dealing with layouts, and we're dealing with CSS. When I introduce you to CSS, with the HTML5 standard introduces more meaningful, more semantic type of tags. So an example of this. So an example of a div tag being used to set up layouts is the following sort of website here. So I mean, we may still have the HTML5 standard. That's not important here. So we might have headers here. So we might use this division tag, and then we might put like all the links that we need. So website header, we use a heading here. Then we might have the main. Then here we might put main content. And so notice that we use the class attribute. So the class attribute is similar to the ID attribute. The only difference is that the ID attribute has to be, by convention, unique. So a class attribute constitutes a set of tags that you want to group together, and you want to target either with HTML, either with CSS, or either with JavaScript. And so we may divide the website further into the footer section. So here our copyright and perhaps our contact information might be here. So that's how you might use the division tag to divide a website up. So now with HTML5, all of these changes, we introduce semantic tags. So a semantic tag, instead of being a div, we might say header for the header, the main tag for the main, the section tag for the section, the aside tag for the aside, the blog post or the article tag for the articles, and we have the footer tag for the footer. So let's just take a rundown of all of these tags here. So we're going to use a book analogy. So the header tag will be your introductory stuff. So this is usually the top part of the page. So it might have a logo, site name, or menu. So think of a book cover, or the cover of a book. So it tells you what you're about to read. And then we have our nav tags, which would come in the header section here, typically put in the header section. So this is where you put menus or links to other parts of your website. So it helps screen readers and people find their way around. So it's like a table of contents in a book. So it's kind of important also for accessibility for people with disabilities and so on. Proceeding further with a rundown of semantic tags, let's look at the main tag here, which goes to the main part. Typically there's one. So this is where your main content of your page goes. There should only be one main per page by convention. Right? So think of it as the heart of your web page. This is the most important content. So the most important content would come here. Then articles and sections would usually go inside of your main, so it will be enclosed by your main. So your article, this will be self-contained content. This is for stuff that makes sense on its own, like a blog post, news article, or forum post. So you could take this and put it in another website. It will still make sense, so it's reusable. So that's how that works. Further, again, encapsulated into the main section. You may have the section tag, so use this to organize parts of your page. It's used like chapters in a book, so each one focuses on a single topic, and then we have an aside, and this is your extra info. So this is stuff that is not the main focus. So like your ads, your advertisements, it's like a sidebar, right? Put ads related links. It's kind of like bonus material in the margins of a textbook, for instance. And finally, we have the footer. So it's the bottom part of the page. So it might include information that's like the copyright, your contact info, or your links. So think of it as the credits at the end of a movie. So here, let's just take a quick look at this example here. So we have some SEO tags here, search engine optimization tags, and some meta tags, which I might delve into a bit later, or I put some notes out for this course here. So let's just look at the body section here. So you notice that we have a header, and we have a header, and again we have our nav tab. So this will be your navigational link. So you have your home, your about. This is already stated. And then proceeding further, to proceed further here, we have our main section. So our main section might contain articles and sections, right? And we might also contain an aside here. So this is like related information. It's the side content that relates to the main content. Again, it might be advertisements, as was already mentioned. And finally, we have the footer section here, footer, and then we might put like a copyright or end copy. We've already learned about these characters here. All rights reserved. Then we have our context information, so forth and so on. And here we might have a script, right, which references an external script. So as already mentioned in the previous lecture, this is how you make a comment in HTML. So if we were to render this website, you might have it rendered like this, for instance, right? So we have our website header here. As you can see, it corresponds to that. And we have our navigational links. Then we have our main content here, which goes all the way down here. And if we continue further with our website, again, we have here our footer section. Again, this will correspond to this. So copyright 2030, your company name. Your company name, this is how it would render in the browser, for instance, and our contact information too. This is how it would render in the browser. We just use an anchor tag here. Proceeding. So why are semantic HTML tags useful? So they make your code easier to read and understand. So instead of using a bunch of divs, as was already mentioned, if you just know what each section does just by looking at the tag name, that's why it's semantic, it's meaningful. So they help search engines like EcoAsia, DuckDuckGo, Google, Bing, and so on. Just make it easier for people to find your content. So the bots of these, or the crawling bots of these sites can understand more. It's easier for them to understand what's going on in your page. So they help screen readers for people with disabilities. The browser can tell the screen reader, hey, this is the navigation page, or here's the main content. So it's more accessible. So accessibility function here is improved. They make your website easier to maintain. So if someone else or your future self looks at your code, it's easier and it's clear what each part is supposed to do and does